Hello and welcome 1000 PS fans. We're here at Milan at the motorcycle fair on the Moto Guzzi stand with a great designer, which name is Miguel Galluzzi. Hello, Mr. Galluzzi.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
I always love to talk to designers because I can't even draw a straight line, but I'm very interested in the process of designing. Can you tell us something about yourself? What's your history, and what are you doing for Moto Guzzi?
My history is a very easy one. You know, I became a motorcyclist when I was 7 or 8. I got my first bike instead of a drum set. So instead of becoming a musician, I became a motorcycle designer. I'm doing what I'm doing right now. I'm with the Piaggio Group in Pasadena, in Los Angeles, in an advanced design that we actually, our main job is to create, you know, what you're going to see maybe 3, 4, 5 years from now. And sometimes, you know, even 10, because again, you know, when you are in the war of ideas, you know, there is no time limit. So our job, again with the Centro Steel in Italy, just to put ideas on the table, you know, so we get, you know, the best results for the production of Gucci's or Aprilias.
And did any of your ideas become reality so far? Right here.
That was an idea we got, you know, like a couple of years ago, saying, you know, what about if we, you know, okay, we got the California, that's a very classic looking bike. But how can we see that, you know, into a new generation of people? You know, younger kids that don't want to look like the grandpa motorcycle. So that's why, you know, the way this started to be something, yeah, maybe we go to Bonneville and do a land speed record or something like that. So that was the beginning of an idea that we see here. The MGX represents that. So, and we got also the influence, you know, because of the customizing war is pretty huge in the US, you know, 20 inches wheels, you know, elements that are very different from what Guzzi is, but mixing it with the brand, then it becomes something else. Like in this case, you know, the bike we have in here.
When you start designing the process, inspiration, you know in that moment the motorcycle will not be there tomorrow. It will be there in 3 years, in 5 years.
But we don't,
so how?
The point is we don't have a time frame.
Okay.
So as designers, we, as I always said, you know, our main job is to get emotion in paper. Once the emotion is in paper, then the second job is to put it in reality. So we don't work necessarily for next year or 5 years from now. Again, when a good idea is a good idea, actually it doesn't have a time frame.
It's pretty hard for me to understand, because I think if you say this motorcycle will be reality in 5 years, you're doing something now, and then in 5 years maybe everyone would think, yeah, that's looking old already, or it's not, you know?
But that's the main job for us, you know, to create something that is going to last. But again, in case of Moto Guzzi, the simplicity of what you see, that's why it makes a good design last. So that's one of the aspects we keep in mind when we start designing. So the simplicity of the whole thing, you know, we have the Audace there that you're going to see it 5 years from now and it still is going to look good because it's simple, but it's strong. And that was, you know, the two elements we keep in mind when we started designing that one. As, you know, the El Dorado, which is a more classic flowing design. And again, that's going to last because it's simple and strong.
Now I understand. Besides motorcycles, I love watches and I love shoes.
Yeah.
And I know from some shoe designers, they take inspiration from sometimes sports cars even, or airplanes. What do you take inspiration from?
I always say we are sponges. Designers must be sponges. I don't have a specific, you know, thing. I like watches too, I like shoes too, but I like everything that is around me. So as a sponge, you absorb, and then you mix, and then you create. So you shouldn't be close, you know, to one thing or another. Everything that is around us has to influence me, or any designer. You know.
So I think Italy is the champion considering designing. I love Italian design. But you are in America, in Pasadena. Why? Is it just by chance, or did you choose this place specifically?
But Los Angeles is a very unique place in the world. California is a very unique place in the world. There is no other city in the world that, again, Los Angeles, for example, the other day we were, some people from Italy came to visit us, and we went to a pub that is very close to our office, and we were having a beer there, and then suddenly 3 kids came, maybe 20 years old, and they have these shoes with 2 wheels on it, and they were doing a film, with the stairs, and I'm sure they were doing a Kickstarter thing. So that's that's the spirit of what is going on in California, Los Angeles, or San Francisco, or whatever. So for a designer to be there is very important, but without losing the tradition of the Italian aspect of the design. So by mixing that again as the sponge thing, then you create other stuff, which is what makes the difference.
I was in America 2 weeks ago in California.
Where? In California?
Yeah,
Where?
Venice Beach and San Diego.
Okay.
And I was at the Mulholland Highway, and I
Okay.
met Jay Leno,
Okay.
the talk master,
Yeah.
and he rode a Guzzi, a V7.
Yeah, we were.
Great.
We were last weekend with the school I went to. They had a car show, and he was there looking at cars, motorcycle, because he's a real fan of, not only Guzzi, about everything that goes fast. So that's another aspect. You go to a weekend in Mulholland Drive, and then you just stand there, and you're going to see, maybe a Ferrari, and then you're going to see a Bugatti, and then you're going to see a Ducati, and then a Guzzi.
For me, it's paradise.
More than paradise is if you are into cars and motorcycle, that's heaven.
So can you tell us something about your future projects, or what are you up to? Or what do you think in 5, 10, 15 years motorcycle market will look like?
10 years from now, I think we were talking before, there was a conference about, what classic bikes are. We are right now into this retro, vintage, or whatever you want to call it. But to me, it's going back to basics, to simplicity. So for me, we are in a phase that we are going into something else. Just like if you see the story of the motorcycle, after big wars like the First War, the Second War, the motorcycle changed. Not only form, but engine and everything that was around it. And we are going through the same thing. The market is not there anymore, things are changing. What's next? What's next? We're going to have, one thing to me is going to be a very simple and lightweight vehicle, because materials and technology is going to allow us to do it in a different way, like a 3D printing machine. So that is going to allow us to do different stuff.
Last question. They always say creative people are messy and there's chaos everywhere. What's your home or your office? What does your office look like? Everything clean?
My office sometimes is clean, sometimes it's a mess. It depends, the state of mind.
Yeah.
You cannot say that it's always, again, we go back, you are a sponge. It doesn't have to be the same way all over because you get bored. So it has to change. One day could be clean, one day could be a mess.
Okay, thank you. I will tell my boss.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.